GMGP, good morning, good people. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all decided to wake up with us. You're sick. You're sick in the head. There's a lot of fantasy football shows out there, but I promise y'all, they not like us. Brock Bowers, you looked a little quicker than fast. What does that even mean? Redraft, dynasty, best ball, high stakes, we got you covered. And that's MVS and Justin Watson with some of the dopest tools designed to help you cancel out the noise and dominate your leagues. If there's a white wide receiver named Antoine, sign me up. Maybe it's cultural. I don't know. In season or off season, rain, sleet, hail, and snow, comma, semicolon, period, next sentence, to bring you the most actionable and entertaining content on YouTube. You don't go buy the dip on the Titanic.
Quarterback that you love, D-Bro. One of the best values in fantasy football.
Prop bets with my man Jay Rich.
Is that yes! Let's go!
So wipe the crust out of your eye, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake y'all asses up. We're Ray
and Jay
in the morning.
My God.
How good is he? How good is he? Let's go. GMGP. It is Monday, October 27th, 2025. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with myself and my brother from another mother. Y'all know what it is, the Canadian Jordan Richards. You can find him at your boy Jay Rich on X. This is Wake Up with Ray and Jay every Monday, every Wednesday, every single Friday right here on the YouTube channel. Hit the thumbs up button, like the content on the channel, subscribe to the show. Check us out on DD Radio, Wake Up Podcast feed, Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you get your pods at. If you can't make the show live, you can run it back. You know what I'm saying? Just run it back later in the day or download the podcast feed. You can get everything right there. I see the people in the chat already going at it, Jay Rich. We got a lot to talk about today. My Dallas Cowboys, man. Dallas, they didn't get it done, Jay Rich. The 30-year drought of beating the Denver Broncos still live and in effect right now. They ain't get it done, man. Cowboys didn't get it done. Baltimore Ravens, no Lamar Jackson, no problem. We will talk about that. A giant loss in New York. Massive bounce-back performances from quarterbacks who were cast off last week. We got a lot to talk about. Jay, as I get the chats from the people rolling in, how you doing this morning, big dog?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It was a great weekend once again, especially for my 6-2 Patriots, Ray.
Oh, boy.
Can you believe it? We're here.
Man.
The 6-2 New England Patriots. It's only half a season, but man, we just might be back. But how are you, my friend? You gave the people a very sultry intro. Good morning, good people.
Yeah, good morning. GMGP, just a
regular. What happened?
Just a regular.
Are you still sad because your Cowboys lost? Did you have a long night? Did you stay up too late watching the Packers slap up Aaron Rodgers? Jordan Love looking great. Tucker Kraft going crazy.
We're good, man. It's Monday.
It's Monday morning.
We're good. It's Monday. I'm feeling good. It was a lot of people say it was a trash weekend for fantasy. I thought it was an interesting week. I thought it was a good week of football, man. It was fine. Football. Anytime you get football on the screen, it's good. College football, Brian Kelly.
Good riddance.
That Cajun accent didn't get him too far, did it, man? Marcel Reed put foot in ass. My goodness, Texas A&M getting it done. Should be the number one team in the country, even though it will be Indiana, who also put belt to ass this weekend. But, Jay, we will leave the college football talk for another day. We got a big show to get into today. I'm feeling good. There's some rumors we got to discuss. But more importantly, some big-time injuries, some players that weren't on the field for us this Sunday. Now, you and I had a big back and forth, Jay Rich. You and I had a big back and forth on Bleacher Report on the show. If Lamar Jackson does not play, there's no chance the Baltimore Ravens can win the game. And we'll talk about that game a little bit later. We'll talk about that game in particular a little bit later. But Lamar Jackson, the Ravens seem to be in a little bit of heat about Lamar's injury designation because we did not have Lamar Jackson on the field for us this past Sunday against the Chicago Bears. After practicing in full, Lamar Jackson was out. He did not play on Sunday. So now there's potential fines, loss of draft picks, all kinds of crazy stuff going on with the Ravens. How wild was this one for you to not see him on the field on Sunday after you felt very confident that he was going to play in the game, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, he practiced limited all week, which for a starting quarterback of his stature isn't really anything crazy. You know, we heard it was scout team on Thursday, and it was very, very limited in the action he was getting. He wasn't even running reps with the first team. But it's more so, I think, when you not just look at the timeline of the Ravens, it's the NBA gambling scandal that broke, obviously, last week. And so it was very poor timing for the Ravens to have their own injury designation scandal, where Lamar Jackson was listed as a full participant in practice. For everyone who follows injury reports, we track them every single week. You know, if you're limited Thursday, you go full Friday, you're basically gonna go on Sunday, like 99% of the time. So for him to be listed as full, we're like, okay, Lamar Jackson probably gonna be good to play. Even if it was, you know, a limited full practice, listed full, probably gonna play. Saturday comes around, and there's a report that, it wasn't full practice, it was only a scout team. And then more reports come out, and it's like, well, unfortunately, he was limited. And so then we find out not only was he not practicing in full, he was limited, and he was running scout team. And then out of nowhere, we get this tweet from the Ravens, I think it was actually reported by the Insiders First, that his injury designation was changed on Saturday to limited from full, and then like an hour after that, he was ruled out of the game on Sunday. And really, this just comes down to competitive play, right? And fairness, and more importantly, the gambling issues that come along with this. The Bears were 6.5-point dogs on Friday. I said, that tells me Lamar's going to play. Then they're 3.5-point dogs once the designation changed. Then they were 1.5-point dogs by the time game time came around. So you think about that swing as a whole, just tells you not just Lamar's impact, but the ramifications beyond simply just, damn, we misreported it, Harbaugh after the game. It was an honest mistake. You can't have an honest mistake like this and expect to get away with it. So it'll be interesting to see how hard the NFL comes down on this. But I think with the NBA scandal that just happened last week, it may be a pretty harsh punishment.
What was the NBA scandal for those people out here listening, Jay, who may not dive into the association this early in the season? Because, you know, it's 82 games and we're already scandaled up in the What was the scandal, Jay Rich?
Essentially, it was a combination of leaking injury reports, right? So players that aren't going to play prior to that information becoming public. And then, of course, large bets being placed on said games prior to the public knowledge of the injury reports. So again, very similar to this situation. I don't know if I'd say it's quite the same, but
Enron situation going on, a little insider trading going on in the association.
And then, of course, is the Terry Rozier thing with the prop betting and him, you know, fixing his props and all that kind of stuff.
It's on the heels of the Allen Iverson documentary that just dropped, in which the officials already admitted to not giving calls to Allen Iverson during his time because they didn't like him for whatever reason. Yeah. Wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
It's crazy, all the stuff that kind of came out. But, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Ravens. But we'll
talk about the team in a little bit. But Lamar Jackson, we did not have him this past Sunday, Jay. But before we get into some big injuries, there was a big rumor circulating around the National Football League going into this weekend. I think the news or the rumor started to circulate around Saturday, I believe it was. But this one was in regards to Jacksonville Jaguars star wide receiver. Jay Rich, talk about the streets. What are the streets saying about old Brian Thomas Jr.?
I mean, it's interesting that there was a report that came out over the weekend. I believe it's from Diana Rossini from The Athletic, who said that there is potential that the Jags could be quietly shopping Brian Thomas Jr. We obviously know about his struggles. We saw the emergence of Travis Hunter just this past week. They are on bye this week, obviously. Going into next week, we'll see kind of what happens with them. And we do have the trade deadline coming up just next week. So could they be chopping Brian Thomas Jr.? I don't really think so. You know, all reports are his movement is highly unlikely, but James Gladstone has been aggressive so far in his tenure as Jags GM, coming from the Les Snead mentorship, right, in LA. So we'll see what happens, but I don't think he's going to get moved. Ray, do you think there's any potential for a Brian Thomas Jr. move with his struggles? And kind of, it seems like maybe it could be even beyond simply his struggles on the field as to a reason why they may move him.
Sure. Sure. Is there a possibility? Yeah. Do I think it's likely? No. Would I do it? No. I also probably wouldn't have traded what James Gladstone traded in order to get Travis Hunter. But my question is, somebody leaked something, right? This didn't just materialize out of anywhere. Who does it really serve? It really only benefits Jacksonville if somebody wants to pounce and make a deal. If you're going to trade a star wide receiver, right now would be a great time to do it. He's on a cost-controlled contract. The team that would be you could really sell that shit up. Hey, you're getting a second-year stud here. You're getting a second-year player, full contract. You don't have to worry about extending them. You make the pivot now if there are truly some rotten things going on inside the locker room. But I hadn't heard any of that, right? If those things are true and you're asking me, could you see it happening? Sure. I think you could see something like that happening. They pivot on and move to Travis. But there's got to be some serious stuff going on, right? There's got to be – it would have to be way bigger. Honestly. It would have to be way bigger than just drops. Like, there has to be something going on where this wasn't a Cohen guy either. This was a Trent Baalke selection, right? Like, it wasn't. This was not a Cohen selection. This was not a GM selection. So the leak happened some way, somehow, from somewhere for some reason. Do I think it's likely? No, but you and I will be on Bleacher Report on NFL trade deadline. Me, you, and Kurt Benkert and James Palmer and all those people. So it's going to be a big, 2.5 hour, 3 hour show?
Yeah, I think it's a 2 hour, 3 hour show.
3 hour show on free agency, the deadline, November 4th. So make sure when we roll the break, scan that QR code so you could follow us on Bleacher Report. That way when we go live, you just get the alert. We'll be on there talking through it. I don't know, Jay. I mean, a lot of people are saying New England should give up. I'm seeing all kinds of stuff that they should give up in order to pair Drake Maye with a true star receiver. Would you like to see him go to your Patriots? Would you like to see him moved? And do you ultimately think it happens?
So I don't think it happens. You talk about the fits. I still think Buffalo's a better fit for Brian Thomas Jr. than New England is. Because I think the problem for me is that, obviously our audience is heavy fantasy as well, right? I don't think that Brian Thomas Jr. to New England is a great fantasy outcome. Okay. I still think being in the Jags would be better. I think being in Buffalo would be better. But it just depends on kind of what that cost would be, right? Like, that's what it comes down to, is what does that cost and how does it benefit the team? Because you look at a spot like New England, and we'll obviously get into the game at some point during this show, and maybe we won't, but they just throw to everybody. Like, there's a lot of spots where they just throw to everybody. You want him to go to a spot where he can be the guy, right? And I think that's the problem, is maybe it's tough coaching, maybe it's the drops, maybe it's confidence, maybe it's a loss of his dominant role in an offense that he had last season. There could be a lot of reasons why he's struggling. This, to me, screams a lot more of agents leaking information to insiders, right? More so than anything else. Because we also got the report that is A.J. Brown going to be on the Philadelphia Eagles after this week, right? Because he didn't play this week. He's been dealing with some stuff. There's obviously the tweets. There's all the drama surrounding A.J. Brown. Right. I don't think that Philly wants to trade him. I don't think they will trade him. In the same way, I don't think that Jacksonville wants to trade Brian Thomas Jr. because he can help them win football games. Right? He can. He's struggling right now, but he can help them win football games, and that's ultimately what they're trying to do. They're not trying to win a Super Bowl this year. They know they have a long way to go. I don't know if anyone saw the big piece the Jags put out with Liam Cohen taking accountability for their struggles in London and everything there. It was a great piece that they put out, that Liam Cohen basically took a lot of accountability for that. It's a team thing, and they're trying to build it, but I don't think trading Brian Thomas Jr. would necessarily be the answer, and I don't think they will trade him. But if they do, man, it would be fun, and I'm here for it.
All right, Jay, some injury news this coming out of this Sunday, Week 8 action. Quinshon Judkins, running back of the Cleveland Browns, exited early with a shoulder injury, Jay Rich. So this is going to be something we'll need to monitor as the week progresses. Also, Saquon Barkley, finally looking like Saquon Barkley. But when Saquon got hurt, Jay Rich, I was like, he ain't ran that much all season long. And of course, once he starts to get loose, that's when I believe it's being classified as a groin injury for Saquon Barkley. He came off of the field. He was standing on the sidelines. I think that happened, I want to say late third, early fourth quarter, and then he didn't return. By at that point, the damage had been done. He had scored 2 touchdowns, damn near 180 yards of total offense, I believe he had in that game. It was a vintage Saquon Barkley performance. His first time breaking 20 yards on a run all season long. He had ran more in this game than he did all season combined, so I give him some grace for the injury. I don't know how long of an injury this is. When does Philly have a bye coming up at all?
Yeah, Philly I think has a bye this week.
This week?
Yeah,
Cool.
they have about week 9.
I'm not too concerned about it. He kind of walked off the field. He was grimacing a little bit. Hopefully we'll have Saquon Barkley full and in full on week 10. Drake London was also ruled out prior to the game. I didn't see that coming at all. I guess I hadn't heard that. I missed the memo. I knew Michael Penix was probably going to miss, and we were going to get Kirk Cousins, and we're not going to talk about that game, or we might talk about that game, but he was awful. But the big injury coming out of this week, Jay Rich, from the offensive side of the ball, the things that we track for fantasy football, is New York Giants rookie running back Cam Scataboo. I'm not going to show the picture of his dislocated ankle, but it did not look good. It was already ruled out. He's going to miss the remainder of the season. His foot was pointed in another direction. And it wasn't a dirty tackle at all. But man, we always have talked about that on this show. Anytime defenders get tackled from behind, I hold my breath every single time, because the force and like the ankle and the foot, just unfortunate for a player. Jay, let's give Scat a grade on the season. If you had to grade him based on what you thought about him coming into the season, this Giants team, season is done. He didn't get it's not a fully complete grade, but what would you give Scat for his rookie season in New York?
For his 8 weeks, I give him an A+. I'm not really sure how. I mean, obviously he could be better, but 4th round draft pick, didn't start the season out as a starter, worked his way in, and once he worked his way in, there was no rescinding his role. He was great catching the ball. He was great rushing the football. And I think you look to the way this Giants team kind of struggled without him, it tells you how important, how valuable he was to the team, right? People may be a bit harsher. I see some A's, I see some B pluses out there, but I don't know what more you could have expected from Cam Scataboo, honestly, in his rookie season. He had a great start to his rookie season. I think everyone is hoping he comes back fully healthy and ready to go, because he's exciting to watch and he's been great. But how do you feel about Cam Scataboo, and how would you grade his rookie season?
I mean, he played exactly how we thought he would play. Physical, no nonsense, violent style of football. And what sucks was it wasn't any of those type of plays that he got hurt. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's just the great X factor in the proxy of a game that we play, and the actual game that those men play is the biggest X factor. Week in and week out. It's not quarterback play. It's not weather. It's not the offensive line. It's not a pass rusher. It's injury. It's being tackled from behind and having your damn ankle snapped. It's planting on the field the wrong way and popping an Achilles tendon. It is the greatest X factor. And part of what makes every single Sunday, there was a movie back in the day, Jay Rich. I don't know if you watched Any Given Sunday, one of the best football movies made, but it is truly a game of inches, and it is truly any given Sunday, all hell can break loose. And unfortunately for Scataboo, he caught that up. The injury bug got him. If I were going to give him a grade for what I thought he can do coming into this season to what he actually produced, I'd give him a solid A. I give him an A. A+ I'm a hard grader, Jay Rich, but for a 4th round running back to come in and play as physical as he did, to be effective in the receiving game and between the tackles, hopefully he gets himself together and he recovers from this thing, and then he's right back on the field next year. I give Cam Scataboo an A. So we'll pour one out for Scat Pack, man, and the New York Giants will continue to march forward with Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary as the starting running backs. Jay Rich, let's get into the games, though. Let's get into the games, because last night, Sunday Night Football,
it was a bit of a game for a bit.
It was a game for a bit. It was a game for a little bit. But ultimately, the student, Jay Rich, I guess you can call him the student, defeated the teacher in this matchup, because the Green Bay Packers 35, the Pittsburgh Steelers 25. Jordan Love was, listen, man, watching him play ball, I mean, he is back foot, throwing that shit wherever. Jordan Love has not seen a route or a throw that he doesn't like. He'll throw it anywhere at any given point in time. 360 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks, and he got the ball to his primary weapon, the big dog, Tucker Kraft, whom we talked about, I believe, on Friday when we were doing a Would You Rather. Was it Tyler Warren edition? And we were like, nah, still got to take
Gadsden.
It's Gadsden. And, some people were Gadsden over Kraft. Some of y'all in the chat we're going to Rondé Gadsden over. We didn't do that, Jay Rich. We were still on the Tucker Kraft train. And man, did he deliver. The number one tight end on the week, 7 for 143, 2 touchdowns. They got Christian Watson back. Romeo Doubs was in there. Matthew Golden, not so much for Matthew Golden, but talk about the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love getting the best of his old teammate Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, this is a great performance from the Packers. I think even on both sides of the football, the touchdown late for the Packers didn't really impact the score a whole lot. But offensively, this is a team that we've seen struggle for a few weeks, right? They haven't quite delivered in the way that we thought they could be more dominant. Now, it's interesting because Christian Watson was active in this game. He's the second leading receiver, 85 yards, 4 catches on 4 targets. And you're talking about one of those absolute YOLO balls that looked like it was floating sideways.
Oh, yeah.
And somehow
he
it was perfectly
sideways.
placed.
He was facing this way and throw it. Yeah, just love.
And it was perfectly thrown somehow. It wasn't a perfect spiral at all. But Watson being involved in the offense, adding that third element, that deep element to this offense that they kind of needed. They got Malik Heath involved. Emmanuel Wilson was involved in the receiving game. They got Savion Williams a touchdown. This is where this team for fantasy is extremely frustrating. But when Jordan Love is playing at an extremely high level and Matt LaFleur is calling plays at a very high level, this is what you can get offensively, and it came to the tune of 20 straight completions for Jordan Love. And when you're doing stuff like that, that's when you have this dominant offense in Green Bay that we know is capable of big performances in some of these big moments. To put up 35 on the road, even though the Steelers' defense we know is not great, especially against the pass, this is a momentum-building type performance for this offense that is only going to continue to grow further and further week after week. Kraft was great. I thought Watson was phenomenal coming back from his injury and finally being reintegrated into the offense. But Love was as good as we've seen probably at any point this season. So hats off to Love, hats off to the offense. They played a great game against the Steelers this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely, man. They got it done. They got it done. They played great on the road. They couldn't really run the ball in this game. Josh Jacobs couldn't find a lot of success. Emmanuel Wilson did play well in relief and in tandem with Josh Jacobs, but this was all Jordan Love. This was the defense. And on the other side of the ball, I think my big takeaway watching Pittsburgh is, man, they should be in the market for a pass catcher. They need somebody else.
It's really DK or bust.
It's DK or bust. Like the running game with Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell is fine. The running game is fine. Roman Wilson, you see the stat line, 4 for 74. He had a big 45-yard catch, I believe, in the first quarter, and then didn't touch the ball again until late.
Till the very end, yeah.
Till the end. 4 for 74. He had a touchdown. DK, 5 for 55. He had a touchdown. But outside of that, Calvin Austin, no thank you. We're wasting targets on Ben Skoranek, and they're throwing the ball. They threw the ball to a damn tackle early in the game. They should be in the market for a pass catcher. But the question is this: would it even matter? We've continued to talk about this defense being so fraudulent. They've got some big-time names on that defensive side of the ball. They've got some big-time, some Hall of Fame. They got 3 Hall of Famers over there right now with Hayward.
Did you see what
Hayward's probably a fringe Hall of Fame guy. We'll see what the D-line Hall of Fame experts say in the chat. TJ Watt's a Hall of Famer. Jalen Ramsey, Hall of Famer, and they can't stop anybody, Jay. It's just a fraudulent defense, and Pittsburgh sitting right here at 4-3 on the season, 2-2 at home. I don't know who should be favored to win the damn AFC North right now. We said it's Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Baltimore's right back in it with a 2-5 record. The Bengals. Yep. We'll talk about Cincinnati next. But what are your thoughts on Pittsburgh? Because I thought Rodgers played as well as he could have given the circumstances. I just think Pittsburgh's. I don't really believe in them as a true contender.
Yeah, the offense was definitely overmatched. Like, absolutely. This Green Bay defense is very strong. It's a good defense. You talked about the Steelers' defense. And Hayden Winks tweeted out yesterday, the Steel Curtain defense cost $163 million. The most in the NFL, by the way. Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
But yeah, I just thought offensively, the Steelers were overmatched, right? It is a bit of a DK or bust type of offense, especially on some of those quick read and throws type of stuff that Rodgers likes to run. But outside of that, there just isn't anybody else that can kind of relieve pressure from the offense. When they need a long third down, it's throw it to DK. Maybe a tight end is open, But other than that, there's just nothing really there. And the offensive line's been kind of okay, but again, overmatched by that defensive line by Green Bay. It's tough, man. It's Pittsburgh's in a tough spot because, as you said, they're probably not going to win the division now. Baltimore's in a great spot with Pittsburgh losing and with Cincinnati losing. So I think the Ravens probably should be favored, especially with Lamar expected to be back. I think, do they play on Thursday this week?
I think they do have a short. No.
I think, who is it? Someone has a short week. I forget. Maybe it is the Ravens.
It might be the Ravens. Let me look.
Once he comes back, then they're good, right? But at this point, I think the question really, Ray, is when does the "do we fire Mike Tomlin" chant start getting a little bit louder, right? A little bit louder.
I don't think Pittsburgh will fire Tomlin. I think he's done too much for the franchise to fire him.
But we say that every year, though. We say that every year.
I just don't think they would fire Mike Tomlin midseason. No way.
Maybe not midseason.
Not midseason. No way. It would have to be. It would have to be at the end of the year. But honestly, I mean, dude, you put together this old-ass roster. Like, y'all put together this old-ass team. DK is a fine. If you want to trot him out there as the one, here's what I'll say. You better have some other good players around him as well. Like, that cannot be your only go-to guy. It cannot be that. And it can't be Calvin Austin. After a big week from Freiermuth, it's not these damn tight ends. I think their construction is just off. Like, their team construction is just bad.
It's the Arthur Smith construction, right? Get a bunch of tight ends in there, maybe one receiver, couple capable running backs, and a quarterback who can run play action very well, but it's not a high-ceiling offense. You need a strong defense with an offense like this, and they're paying that defense a lot of money, but they are not doing their job.
That high-ceiling offense, Jay Rich, I hear you talking, and my friend, we are going to transition because you owe this player a massive apology, Jordan Richards.
That is not true at all.
I am on pins and needles waiting to see if you are going to issue this apology and give this young man some credit, because nobody in the whole sports world faced more scrutiny than one Justin Fields this past week, Jay Rich. He had the owner come out and say, man, this dude can't complete a pass. It's not Aaron Glenn's fault. He can't. It's impossible to win when your quarterback can't complete a pass. Aaron Glenn had to stand at the podium, defend his quarterback, Justin Fields. It was a competitive advantage that worked out. All of you questioning Aaron Glenn's tactics of not announcing the quarterback, he did it his way, and what happens? The Jets got a dub, Jay Rich. The Jets got a dub, and Justin Fields played arguably his best total game in a long time, has felt like. A very long time for Justin Fields. He's right outside the top 10 quarterbacks on the week. You know what Justin Fields did not do in the game, Jay Rich? You know what he didn't do? Did not take a single solitary sack in the game. No interceptions for Justin Fields. 21 for 32, 244, one touchdown at 31 yards on the ground. And the Jets beat the Cincinnati Bengals on the road. Jay Rich, do you have something to say to Justin Fields today?
What would I have to say to Justin Fields, honestly? Like, shout out to you, my friend. You got a big victory. First of the season. Maybe first of many. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know what you want me to say. He wasn't that good. He was pretty good for Justin Fields' standards. You know, I talked about, you got on me because I gave Bryce Young credit for being fine by Bryce Young standards just a few weeks ago. Justin Fields was fine by Justin Fields' standards. He didn't ruin the game. He didn't throw the game away. He didn't fumble the game away. He didn't take a bunch of sacks. Now, Trey Hendrickson was knocked out of this game. And the Bengals defense is horrific. But the real takeaway here is that Breece Hall was great in this game.
Breece Hall was great.
For 133 and 2 touchdowns. It allowed the offense
passing
to balance.
Touchdown. One for
did have the passing touchdown too.
Todd Fields for passing touchdowns in the game.
Well, you know. But that's the takeaway here for me, is that this is the Jets offense that finally got going. They had great balance. Fields didn't ruin the game plan for them by any stretch.
He played
a good game.
He played good. Give him his credit.
He played a good
game. And he said it was a hard week for him. We're human, man. Like, he saw the news. He saw your clips talking about him.
I'm sure he did.
He saw all this stuff. And to go out there and, you know, pretty much be like, we've got no choice but to play you on the road against this Bengals team. They were up by, I believe, double digits in the fourth quarter. And for them to come back, have the confidence to go for two at the goal. Even the announcers, I don't know if I would go for two here. Had they not done that, they may not have won the game. They challenged the Isaiah Davis 2-point conversion catch. Justin Fields did what he needed to do. Breece Hall was outstanding on the day, but this was a big, big win for the Jets team. I think this was a big win for their team, a big win for Fields, especially coming off the week that he had. You got to give him his credit, man.
Yeah, no, he did his job. I mean, in a lot of ways, the Bengals kind of blew this game. Let's be real. Like, they did blow this game. They probably should have won it. They were up a ton of points. But credit to the Jets for coming back and ultimately winning this game. This is a game that you mentioned they needed to have. And more importantly for Aaron Glenn, maybe you can ease the pressure off him a little bit, right? Because going in, they lose this game, you're like, man, if they get blown out in this game, it's just not going to work out for them. But I hope that maybe Aaron Glenn can find some grace within the media. He can. Are you going to leave Aaron Glenn alone
this week? You don't like coaches that are always talking in the media. Are you feeling better about Aaron Glenn moving forward?
I wouldn't say I feel better about Aaron Glenn, but I think that I hope more so for him that he can find some grace in the media and the win kind of takes some pressure off of him, because the comments from Woody Johnson and obviously the media and, you know, you and I included have been on his ass for weeks for the terrible job he's been doing. But more importantly, the way this team has looked. This team in this game looked competitive, was competitive, and ultimately won the game, right? And that's the big takeaway here. It's not that I expect the Jets to win every game. They're a terrible team. We know that. But they can at least be competitive and look competitive in games, and they absolutely did that in this game. On the other side, though, Ray, Jamar Chase was a little frustrated. Chase said many things.
Hold on. Before we get into Chase, and I get it. That dude had 19 targets again. 19 targets.
He gets paid for that, too.
Nobody else over 3 targets in the game. Nobody else. T. Higgins made the most of his opportunity. 50% catch rate. Touchdown. Big 50% success rate. He got 2 targets. They got to stop throwing the ball to Yoshivas. I would not throw him the ball again. I don't know what's going on with Jermaine Burton. Do not throw the ball to Yoshivas again. Nobody else. It was all Jamar Chase. He had 12 of Joe Flacco's 21 completions, and no, he was not happy at the end of the game, Jay Rich. What did Jamar say at the end of that game?
Jamar said the game should have been over when it was 31-16. Should have been over. Should have been over. I'm more frustrated we lost than anything. I play offense, Ray.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about what the defense got to do. I'm just cheering them on every play.
They asked Jamar as a leader of this team, as one of the leaders of this team, what do you tell the defense? Jamar looked at the reporter and said, I play offense. Ask Zach. Ask Zach. Question. Ask Zach. First name. Ask Zach. Ask Zach. Man, this is something I've been thinking about, because every mock draft I look at for like the Cincinnati Bengals, I'm like, oh, you got to go protect Joe Burrow.
How?
I don't know how you can't. You ought to just draft straight defense. This defense is bad. I know my Cowboys defense, I can't be one to talk, but I call it out is with them. That defense sucks ass too. This Bengals defense ought to be ashamed. They should be surgical. Him and Tyler Johnson lighten them up. Can't stop Breece Hall. Can't generate pressure. Don't want to pay Trey Hendrickson. His defense is awful. Awful. And they're wasting Jamar Chase, wasting T. Higgins, wasting Joe Burrow. Chase Brown had a big game, and they lose the game. You put up 38, you ought to win. You ought to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because it's not that I would ever side with the Bengals organization, because I wouldn't. But it also speaks to the NFL as a whole. And like, well, in some ways, not completely, this is what you get when you're paying a quarterback $55 million, when you're paying your star receiver $40 million, when you're paying your wide receiver $30 million, right? All that money can't go to the other side of the ball, right? So much of that salary cap is being put into the offense. And while, yes, the offense put up 38 points, they did their job.
They did.
it's still tough to build the defense. And this is an organization that is historically cheap on top of the fact they are paying all their offensive weapons. So it's kind of a win the game offensively or you're going to lose, right? And that's kind of where we're at right now. But Flacco could have been a little bit better in this game for sure.
Oh, he was a top 8 quarterback on the week.
He was.
I mean,
well, because he ran for the touchdown, right?
I don't care how he did it. Two passing touchdowns, ran for a touchdown. This was an embarrassing. The Bengals should be ashamed. The Bengals should be a damn shame.
You don't want to be the first team to lose to the Jets.
3-5 on the season. Yeah, the Jets improved to 1-1 and are firmly, I guess, in the Fernando Mendoza sweepstakes. Jay Rich,
Ray, we got a 3-way tie now. You have a doozy on your hand for the next mock.
What do we have?
New Orleans at 1, the Jets are 2, and Tennessee at 3, all at 1-7 right now.
New Orleans went to your boy, Mr. Finger Guns, Tyler Shuck in the game. Spencer Rattler he is who he is, man. Just ill-advised turnovers.
Too many turnovers for him.
Just too many turnovers, and that has plagued him.
The pick 6 was rough.
That has plagued him his entire career at every single stop. All right, Jay, let's take a quick break. We got to run it up. Hit the thumbs up button, like the content, subscribe to the channel, and then me and Jay Rich, when we get back, we got to talk about the fantasy football MVP. Jay Rich, we got to talk about that. Another big running back performance. And oh yeah, we're going to talk about Caleb Williams. We're going to talk about Caleb Williams, your boy Travion Henderson, my Dallas Cowboys. Run it up. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back to the show. Appreciate y'all pulling up. This is Wake Up with Ray and Jay every Monday, every Wednesday, and every single Friday. As you saw on the break roll, make sure you subscribe to us. All you have to do is click the QR code or scan the QR code for our content over on Bleacher Report. We got a big show next week. Me, Jay Rich, our host, and Kurt Benkert, James Palmer over on Bleacher Report for the NFL trade deadline. Big stream. I think it's like 2.5, 3 hour stream. So make sure you're following us over there. So when we go live, boom, right to your phone. Check out all the content on DDFFB, our fantasy football only channel with some of our other creators, Scott, Connor, Shane, Manila, Brandon, Dynasty Theory, All Gas Trade Show, and more over on that channel. But Jay Rich, real quick, because I saw some people talking about it in the chat, and I got to give you some credit. I actually did listen to that album that you recommended, the Dave album. Once I got over my bias of UK rap and just listened to it, my 27th birthday, I think it was, there were some cuts on there I liked. Good musical recommendation from you.
Very lyrical.
It was, once I got through that, it was not bad. So I may give it another listen or two. Jay Rich, I don't think you, did you watch the verses? No Limit versus Cash Money? No Limit versus Cash Money?
Right, I didn't even know there was a versus going on.
We had a full damn party over here, man. We had a full party at the crib. No Limit got it done in that matchup. Jay Rich, Jonathan Taylor got it done too, baby. JT, the fantasy football MVP right now. I wrote about it last night over on Yahoo. Jonathan Taylor, his 4th 3-touchdown game. This was his 3rd pending Monday Night Football, 3rd RB1 finish on the season, not an RB1, the RB1 on the season. You see his teammates crowning him as the king. And the thing was, how many touches did Jonathan Taylor have? Like 14?
How many touches?
Yeah, like 14.
He had a total of 14 touches.
14 touches.
174 yards.
In 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
This Colts team rolled the Tennessee Titans as we thought they would. He did this. You would think that nobody else did shit in the game if JT had 3 touchdowns. Nope. Daniel Jones was good. 3 touchdowns from him. Michael Pittman scored. Antoine Pierce, 69, 70 yards receiving. Josh Downs scored. The Colts are 7-1. 7-1 on the season, man. Like, are they for real, for real? Is this team for real, for real, for real?
I wouldn't say they're for real in the way that they're for real in the way the Vikings were for real last year, which I don't think is unfair. Like, would you say that's unfair?
What do you mean? Go expand upon that. What do you mean for real?
Well, the Vikings were 14-3, but we kind of knew they weren't for real because they didn't have a quarterback that we believed in. And I think that Daniel Jones is having a great season, but when the playoffs come about, we'll see whether he's actually for real. Right, and that's what you judge at this stage. They're a very good team. They're probably going to win, 13, 14 games this season. I haven't looked at their schedule. But they're 7-1 right now, halfway through the year, and the team looks great. So when you talk about are they a for real contender in the AFC, do I think they can beat the Chiefs? And I think for me it's no. Right, but I'd be really curious to see how they stack up with a team like the Patriots because they're another team that I don't think is for real, but they have a great record, right? I think they're much better than the Patriots are personally, but then it's, could they beat the Ravens when Lamar is healthy? Probably, because that defense is so bad. And just kind of how do they stack up with a team like the Broncos, right? Because they came so close down to the wire in the game that they played, both very even, but people kind of view them a little bit differently. But yeah, I mean, Jonathan Taylor is a monster, right? He is, and this is why, like, from the time he was at college, you're like, yo, this dude could be the best running back in the world. Because he's that good. And now he's got a better offensive line. Even though they lost a near $100 million guard in the offseason, they are still great and running a very efficient offense. It's just crazy to think that coming into the season, it was, man, do they start Anthony Richardson or do they start Daniel Jones? And this team is now 7-1, and Daniel Jones probably should win Comeback Player of the Year.
Jonathan Taylor should be the front runner for Offensive Player of the Year. He has 14 total touchdowns on the season. Tennessee Titans, 7. Jay Rich, 7.
Cam Ward got one, though.
Cam Ward did get a touchdown in this game. Sacked another 4 times. I guess it was a step forward. Tajay Spears.
Breakout.
Tajay Spears looked good. Chimere Dike looks like the number 1 in this offense, I guess, with no Calvin Ridley. If you started him, you feel good. Elick Airman or nothing since then. Gunnar Helm looks like he might be a sleeper tight end target for next year, but ultimately, this Tennessee team, what sucks is they're going to be there. I don't know who's picking number 1. I don't know who the worst team is. I don't know if it's the Jets.
Who do you think is the worst team?
Probably the Saints.
I think it depends on what they do at quarterback. If they start Tyler Shuck, they are the worst team in the NFL, probably.
Probably the Saints.
It's the Saints or the Titans for me. I don't think the Jets are the worst team in the NFL. They just play like it a lot.
Yeah. Right? It's. But here's the thing: Tennessee needs a receiver. You're not taking Jordan Tyson number 1 overall. I know he's good. You can't. You got to move back. You cannot take a receiver that high. And the more I think about it, man, we'll get to the Atlanta-Miami game. Jay, I don't even know about taking this season, I'm very much on the fence about first-round running backs. Unless they are.
Okay.
I'm very much on the fence with.
You still think there's a guy, right? You don't think there's a guy.
I'm just saying in general, like I don't know if I would be deploying that strategy in the NFL of taking running backs in round 1. I don't know. Gibbs is great.
Like a bad idea.
Gibbs is great. Bijan is normally great. I just don't know if I'd be spending, or at least I'll say top 10 picks on running backs. I probably would not do that. Just as a general rule, I probably would not do that. All right, Jay, let's talk about another dominant running back performance on the weekend. And we continue. Give him his flowers, man. James Cook, Jay Rich. My goodness. James Cook. Had the Carolina Panthers showed anything in this game, any semblance of life, any threat that they could score the ball, James Cook legitimately probably could have broke the NFL single-game rushing record.
Yeah.
He probably could have broke the single-game rushing record. He had 216 yards on 19 damn carries, averaging over a first down a rush attempt, 11.4, 2 touchdowns. I don't know if he got tackled on the day. He was out there This is Josh Allen's team, no doubt about it. But the engine of this offense yesterday was James Cook. Balled the hell out. Got snubbed from the Pro Bowl vote last year. And I know people, the Pro Bowl is a joke. It's a joke, the actual game, but the vote of becoming a Pro Bowl, being voted on the Pro Bowl, it's all a negotiation tactic when it comes for contracts. So it is.
And you get bonuses usually.
And you get bonuses. So for the players, it does matter being voted in. Should have been voted in last year. He's on his way of becoming a Pro Bowl player this year. Talk about James Cook's performance against this lifeless Carolina Panthers team. My God.
Yeah, I mean, this is where, I think when we talk about Buffalo, this is what we expect from the Buffalo Bills. We don't expect them to be playing these close games against teams that we know they're better than. Now, you and I talked about maybe there was some vulnerability because they weren't defending the run very well. They did a good enough job in this game containing Rico Dowdle. Chuba Hubbard didn't really get anything going on the ground, but it really was the James Cook show. They didn't have to do a whole lot passing the football. Josh Allen, 12 for 19, not great, but Khalil Shakir did enough, scored a big touchdown for them, broke some tackles, was a big play, and James Cook ran the hell out of the football all game long. So it's one of those weird games where the game script isn't really indicative of what you normally expect, and it was a blowout pretty fast, and after that, it was like, well, let's just keep running the football. They kept scoring touchdowns, and they built confidence kind of going into next week, because I think next week they do have Kansas City at home next week, so it was a good game to get the running game going with the Kansas City game coming up next week. But yeah, man, it was good. It was a good game, and I personally think that just maybe this Buffalo team is back, but where are you at on the Bills? Like, do you think this team is back to being an AFC powerhouse, or do you think this is just they played the Carolina Panthers with Andy Dalton and it was a relatively easy game for them?
Yeah, I think they just played the Carolina Panthers and Andy Dalton. I mean, it wasn't, they didn't have to do much. Defense, Dalton was fumbling the ball, man, interception, the running game. Rico Dowdle feels like he should get more touches, but
Chuba Hubbard, should he be the starter still? Like, that's the question for me, is should Chuba still be the starter for the Panthers?
And man, it's that I spent the money, so we got to use it, right? You bought some shit that you probably didn't need to buy. Now you got to force yourself to use it, Jay. I've been there before. Now how much random shit I've bought, and I'm like, I just got to make it work for a few weeks until I break it, and then I can give myself a reason not to use it anymore. They spent the money on Hubbard, and they're probably like, Rico Dowdle is just as good, if not better.
Yeah.
Hubbard didn't find any space to run the ball. Rico Dowdle played better, but ultimately when you got Andy Dalton at quarterback, I don't think it would have mattered at all, regardless. Like, Andy Dalton is terrible, Jay Rich. He's terrible.
Yeah, it's time to retire for Andy Dalton.
Yeah, it's time to hang it up. Teteron McMillan, he had another solid day, 7 for 99. Big day for McMillan on 10 targets. He is the guy out there. Jalen Coker finally got involved to a smaller degree, and then Xavier Legette comes back to earth for the Carolina Panthers side of the ball. The big takeaway from this game was James Cook and how dominant he was. The running backs this week were very, very good dominant on the NFL slate, Jay. But we gotta have a conversation, man. We gotta have a conversation, Jay. I've continued to preach patience. I've continued to be patient, and this is one where I wasn't feeling the matchup at all going into the week, and then you made me feel better about it. Oh, this is a really good spot for Caleb Williams and the passing game to get better. And for the first 10 scripted plays, the Bears drove the ball down the field on the Ravens. Got in the red zone twice. I think back-to-back opening possession and the second possession there in the red zone. They had to settle for field goals, could not convert and score touchdowns. And then that was pretty much it. Once those scripted plays were over, Caleb Williams reverted back to doing Caleb Williams type shit. And what's so frustrating about it is you fast forward to the fourth quarter, you see a play where he is scrambling around. He's on the far left hash, throws the ball all the way back across the field, just layers it right in there to DJ Moore. Dime, 40-something yards. The arm talent is there. The athleticism is there. All of that stuff is there. But just consistency is the biggest issue with Caleb Williams. Consistency is the biggest issue with Caleb Williams. And Jay, I'm struggling on, like, how does this get better for Chicago? He's been awful. We dog on Cam Ward. We crap on Trevor Lawrence. We talk shit about Justin Fields. Since the bye, He has been one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL by every passing metric. I don't care that he had 280-something yards. You watch the game, he's missing throws to Rome Odunze. He's missing throws to his receivers. It's not good. This is 3 straight games where Caleb Williams, you know who looked like the number 1 pick in that game versus the Ravens? Tyler Huntley. That looked like the guy that should have been the number 1 overall pick in 2024, right? It was Snoop Huntley running around making the throws. Now, he wasn't great in the game, but Caleb Williams, even on the road, I expected more from him. What's your big takeaway from this Bears offense? Rome Odunze was good. Rome Odunze, all the panic about Rome. Y'all got to trust it. Don't trust any of the other bullshit out there. Trust the when it comes to receivers, I'm telling you, trust the Trinity. Rome Odunze was fine in this matchup. Yeah. Very good for Rome Odunze. Could have had a bigger day had Caleb Williams had his accuracy under control. But where are you at now with Caleb? This is 3 straight pathetic performances by him in the Chicago Bears. Not good, Jay Rich.
I think it's kind of what people have been saying about Caleb. He is going down the Trevor Lawrence path. Like he is. He's an inefficient quarterback who struggles in the red zone. And that was the biggest takeaway for me in this game. Like, you get to the red zone, you got to deliver.
Can't score.
And it's hard for me to blame Ben Johnson because, like, Ben Johnson's red zone efficiency has been phenomenal throughout his tenure in Detroit. And while, to be fair to Detroit, their red zone dominance has not changed. So maybe it is a bit of a personnel thing. But it's like, we know they have pieces offensively that can score touchdowns and we wouldn't say the Bears have a below average skill set in terms of what they can do, the players they have, and how they can utilize them in the red zone. Like, all those things are more than adequate to be average in the red zone. And Caleb Williams continues to be below average. But when you just look at like any metric, especially when you're comparing quarterbacks, Caleb Williams is like way down the list, way down in that Trevor Lawrence lane, way down with Joe Flacco, way down there with Justin Fields, with Bryce Young, with Michael Penix, with Tua, right? That's not a spot you want your quarterback to be in. And you know, Scott Connor talks about it all the time. He did his pod this week talking about offensive efficiency and kind of breaking that down through the first 7 weeks and what it means for fantasy football. So check that out on DDFFB radio. But like, when you look at the metrics for Caleb, they're really not good. And unless they improve, he's going to just be an average quarterback who can run. And so depending on how you feel about that, you probably want to sell right now in Dynasty, unless you're willing to be patient and pray he improves.
I'm looking at the comments right now. I'm reading the comments. He'll be fine. There's not really a lot of people commenting on Caleb Williams and the Bears. Jorge says, as a Rome Odunze manager, I had the Bears-Ravens game on at all times, and it was brutal to watch his targets sail past him. He's got to be better. He's got to play better. It's hard. Who do the Bears have? Their upcoming schedule. Let's see what the Bears' upcoming schedule is. He's got, like, that's all I got, Jay, is he's got to play better. They've got the Bengals, the Giants, the Vikings, the Steelers.
How many wins?
Can they even score on Cincinnati? You should be able to. They should be able to. They couldn't really run the ball in this game versus Baltimore. Giants are down Scataboo. Vikings haven't looked that good. Steelers defense, we've talked about them being fraudulent. I don't know. This is one where
2-2. They could win every game. They could lose every game.
Yep. Yeah. 1 interception, 1 sack for Caleb Williams. Ran around for 24 yards. On the other side of the ball, Derrick Henry, 2 touchdowns. You got to be happy about that. They fed Zay Flowers, 7 catches, 63 yards, a fine day, 9 targets, prioritizing him in the receiving game. Charlie Kolar is the one who scored the touchdown. It was Tyler Snoop Huntley at quarterback, so you take what you get from the receiving game. Ultimately, I think this was a good bounce back for Henry. They fed him the ball. They did some silly, it looked like they were about to be silly in this game, and they got to the goal line and they said, we'll give Derrick Henry the ball. Only 3.4 carry, but 2 touchdowns. You're good with that one, Jay Rich. Yeah, the Caleb Williams, he's just got to play better. That's all I can say. He's got to play better. It was not good, and I talked about it. It was 2 straight bad games coming into this one. Now it's 3 straight bad games for Caleb Williams. Consistency, man. And before people go, let me just say this. Here's the difference between this situation and what some people said needs to happen, which happened to Bryce Young last year with the benching. Here's the difference. The difference between benching Caleb Williams and Bryce Young being benched for Andy Dalton is there was nowhere to go with Andy Dalton. There was no upward Everyone knew it. Like, Andy Dalton is not the savior of this team. Andy Dalton is not going to be the long-term starter. So there really wasn't a true threat outside of Dalton going on some magical run that he would replace Bryce Young as the starter. I don't think Chicago can do that. If they rip the Band-Aid off and bench Caleb Williams for Tyson Bagent, a young quarterback in which they gave him a contract extension because Ben Johnson liked him, he has not played this way, but I think it would be just as detrimental to if they do that, he's done in Chicago. A la Anthony, I do not believe
it's like
you can,
when they bench Fields.
You can't willingly put Caleb on the bench for Tyson Bagent. Like, the two situations they're not the same. If there was some like older,
do you think Bagent can run the offense better than Caleb?
Because if Bagent can run the offense, people would be like, no, you need to keep playing him. Don't put Caleb Williams back in. Ben Johnson, you like this young player. This is a young guy. You gave him this contract extension. I think it's a little different. If it were an older veteran back there and you're like, look, we're about to sit your ass down for a couple of weeks to get it together, fine. Cooper Rush, Joe Flacco, somebody like that, Andy Dalton, not Tyson Bagent. I don't think you can, if they bench him in favor of Bagent, I think that is opening a wound for a quarterback in which Ben Johnson didn't draft him. Ben Johnson didn't draft. He did not draft Caleb Williams. And I promise you this, Jay. I promise you, most of the times we look at these situations and what do we say? QB is going to outlast the head coach. You better make it work with the quarterback. They're already paying Ben Johnson like he's won a Super Bowl. I can guarantee you, his leash is longer than Caleb Williams' leash. I don't think
I would say so.
I think Ben Johnson's got a longer leash in Chicago than Caleb Williams. What are your thoughts on that? Because I don't think they want to bench him. That's pulling the cord on that whole situation, man.
I think we'll see kind of how this all unfolds. But yeah, if I was betting today, I would bet that if I was the Bears, I would rather bet on Ben Johnson than Caleb Williams. I think that's a fair assessment based off of where both are at, how things have gone, how the team has looked. I do think if you were betting on a player, one outlasting the other, it would be Ben Johnson outlasting Caleb Williams. Now, it's tough because let's say that were to play out that way, Caleb leaves, Ben gets his new quarterback, and still has the same types of issues where he's struggling or the system's too complicated. It really is a credit to Jared Goff at the end of the day, right? Like, because Caleb Williams' strengths are the exact opposite of Goff's. And the reason why you take a quarterback like Goff, number one overall, is because he's so smart with the football. And he has the IQ to see and read defense and all these things. Like, that's what impresses a head coach and a GM when you're drafting Jared Goff number one overall. That is not what impresses you when you watch Caleb Williams and draft him number one overall. And so if this system is as complicated and as cerebrally dominant as is required to run it, does Caleb have that ability within him, or can he develop to get that ability within him? Because I think that's the biggest problem is everyone talks about how smart Ben Johnson is. Maybe there is a world where like his system is too complicated for a quarterback like Caleb Williams. And then you throw in the fact that he's inconsistent. He throws it all over the place and he's constantly running around like crazy. So he can't even operate it effectively because he can't even just sit in the pocket and deal.
I saw a comment. I'm trying to find it. It was just what's the issue? Somebody just asked what is his issue, right? Bad mechanics, question mark. What do I always say about a leopard, Jay? What do I always say about a leopard? He doesn't what?
Change his spots.
Doesn't change his spots. Caleb's playing no different than how he played at Oklahoma and how he played at USC. I just think it's very hard, very, very difficult to change like fundamental ways that people play football at this stage of their career. Right? It's like asking Scataboo not to be physical, asking him to go out of bounds, not lower his head. That's how he's played his whole life. Caleb's played this backyard style of football all the way through, probably from high school, right? And he's been able to get away with it and get away with it. And after those scripted plays are done, he reverts back to the thing that he's always been. And it just has not, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that every throw is bad. It doesn't mean that every time he steps on the field, he's awful, because he's not awful. He's not awful, Jay. Okay? He's had an awful 3-game stretch, but he can do a lot of great things. But being the number 1 overall pick, being a player who said last year, we don't even need the punt team because we're just going to score all the time, to have the level of expectation that we have for him, he is underperforming that expectation level right now. Was this 3 straight losses for the Bears right now?
I think only 2.
Two losses for the Bears. He's looked bad post-bye. When the running game wasn't there, it just does not feel like he is this truck. Doesn't feel like he's a truck. No. And they don't have enough around him to pull him along. It's the expectation level for the number 1 overall pick. We dog out Cam Ward, and he's gonna be in that hot seat as well. J.J. McCarthy's gonna face those same issues as well if he doesn't come back and perform. I don't think it's bad mechanics. I think the issue is this is who Caleb Williams is. This is who he is. This is who he's going to be. I think we had this conversation before. How many players can you think about across sports who like changed the way that they played? And I go to, it's easier for me for like basketball. Like Kobe changed how he played. Rest in power. Kobe changed the way he played from the high-flying slasher. Remember when he switched to 24 and he was back to the basket, post up, mid-range Kobe Bryant. He realized, hey, at this stage, I'm not going to be able to blow by defenders like I could back in the day. I got to reinvent the way I play. NFL-wise, I'm trying to think of a quarterback who maybe Mike Vick a little bit towards the end of his career. He went from that dynamic, I'm going to run every play, to in Philadelphia, he learned how to operate from the pocket. I'm not dogging Caleb out. I'm one of his biggest apologists and biggest supporters. But you cannot objectively watch the Bears play and say that he's doing his part through and through, week in and week out. Been very inconsistent, past 3 weeks especially.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we've talked about it a lot with Caleb and Ben Johnson, right? Like, they're not great stylistic fits. And I think that's the hard part, is like you're trying to put a square peg in a round hole, putting Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams together, and can they actually work together? You talk about quarterbacks changing the way they play. Like, I think you give credit to Josh Allen. Josh Allen did really change the way he played. And he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL now, right? Patrick Mahomes kind of had to change the way that he played, because he was a very high-flying, deep passing style, and then now they just short, intermediate, and I think that's the development, and especially playing in the NFL, you learn that, like, you just can't be so reckless in the NFL. All of these quarterbacks are extremely gifted, extremely talented, but they have to learn to be reined in a little bit, right? Yeah. Take what's given to you. Like, you look at Matt Stafford. Early years, he's like Brett Favre, gunslinger all over the place. They kind of rein him in, teach him how to play quarterback, and all of a sudden becomes a great quarterback, right? It's rare you have a quarterback like Jaden Daniels that, in my opinion, the way he played quarterback in college is the way he plays quarterback in the NFL, and there's success with it, right? Drake May is kind of similar. The system is different than last year, but again, he does similar things he did in college now in the NFL, but it's all about taking care of the football, making smart decisions, and playing within the offense. And Caleb doesn't do that. And when you're constantly trying to buck the trend with what Ben Johnson's trying to do, it makes sense why they're struggling offensively, because he's not operating the offense the way it needs to operate to be successful. And if he's not going to change, then it's probably not going to be successul. Well, and that's ultimately could be the demise of the Bears.
Didn't we say Ben Johnson was supposed to elicit this change?
I believe so, yeah. If anyone was going to do it, it was going to be him, probably.
Liam Cohen's been awesome. Josh McDaniels, great coordinator. Caleb got the offensive coordinator of the offseason.
Absolutely.
He got the number 1 unquestioned guy that brought all this success to Detroit. The mastermind behind that great NFL offense. He got that. So he got that. They went out, they got a center, they got another offensive guard. You get Romo Dunze in place, you draft the bird, and there are no excuses. There are no excuses for Caleb Williams at this point. And again, I'm not saying he's been the worst quarterback in the league. He's been one of the worst over the last 3 weeks. You can't deny that. There's factual evidence that will point to he's been one of the worst quarterbacks.
Weeks 1 through 8, Ray, he ranks 28th in EPA CPOE composite. 28th. The only quarterbacks he's ahead of are Geno Smith, Jake Browning, Joe Flacco on the Bengals, Trevor Lawrence, Cam Ward, and Dylan Gabriel. That's it. And we know that's the bottom of the barrel. Those are the only quarterbacks that have started, I think it's like 150 plays, 128 plays is the threshold. The only quarterbacks that Caleb ranks higher than. Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Bryce Young, Michael Penix, Tua, Spencer Rattler, Kyler Murray, Carson Wentz, all rank higher than Caleb Williams. Weeks 1 through 8. So it's not just this small stretch where he struggled after the bye. This is for the whole season, when he was good early on to now when he's struggling. And he's ranked 28th out of 34 qualified quarterbacks.
Panic meter. Let me just ask you, how panicked are you? Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being full blown. It's not going to work. I'm out. I want nothing to do with Caleb Williams. 1 being he's going to be just fine.
I think I'm probably like an 8. I'm pretty panicked. I am, because if they can't even throw the football effectively, what is there to buy into here? Because if you're Ben Johnson, you should have one goal, and that's to have Caleb Williams throw the ball as little as possible, because it gives you the best chance to win football games.
Man,
right? We talk about Jordan Love and how LaFleur has to rein him in games, and they just give the ball to Jacobs over and over and over and over when Love's struggling, and Love has a bad fantasy day because it's like he only gets 150 yards and he throws for 1 touchdown, and Jacobs gets 2 or 3 touchdowns in the game, and they win 24-20. But that's the way that they're going to find success, right? Until they can find a consistent passing game, you just need to lean into the run. Because I think their rushing attack is actually pretty good. When the offensive line is blocking effectively and the scheme is working the way that we know it can and have seen it work for multiple seasons, both in Detroit and in Chicago at times, why not just run the football?
Here's some numbers we got in the chat. We got an 8 on the panic meter, a 7, a 5, a 9, a 7. I'm probably like at a 6. Or get a 6.
Okay. What does that mean to you?
I just hope he plays better. That's really all I got for you, Jay. I hope he plays better moving forward. I think the stretch is manageable. Said the Bengals, the Giants, Steelers,
Vikings, Steelers, Philly. Like, the Giants, it'll be the interesting test because of the pass rush, and the secondary has been better than people expected.
Nah. They lost Cardale Flott or whatever his name is. They lost. I don't know. That secondary is still lukewarm.
It's suspect at times. Yeah,
it is very suspect, Jay Rich. All right, man. We got to talk about it. Got to talk about it, Jay Rich. My Dallas Cowboys, man. My Dallas Cowboys. Rough outing for the number 1 offense in the NFL. It did not translate on the road, Jay Rich. They have not won in Denver since 1992. I was 6 years old. I remember watching that game when I was 6.
Oh,
I was watching that game, man. Watching Aikman and Irvin and those boys play. The last time they beat Denver in Denver, Dak Prescott, awful. 2 interceptions, sacked twice, quarterback controversy brewing in Dallas. They had to pull him out for Joe Milton, Jay Rich, who did throw a touchdown pass in the game. Javonte Williams saved his fantasy day by punching in 2 goal line runs for touchdowns. George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, they were both very good in the game. 7 for, both of those guys, given that Dak only threw for 188 yards. They each had 7 receptions and 74 plus yards. Neither of them scored touchdowns in that matchup. Jake Ferguson, the NFL leader in receptions and touchdowns at the tight end position. Goose egg, 1 target for Jake Ferguson. And this is all while Patrick Surtain was in and out with an injury. He was in, then he was out, then he came back in, then they took him out, and it didn't matter because the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix, you start everybody versus this defense. You start them all. Jay Ridge, Bo Nix, 4 touchdowns. Bang. J.K. Dobbins, 100 yards on 15 carries. RJ Harvey, not 1, not 2, but 3 touchdowns. Troy Franklin, 2 touchdowns. Pat Bryant, a touchdown. Cortland Sutton, 4 for 67. So if you started him, you're just like, cool. I didn't get a 0. I mean, you just fire up everybody versus Dallas. Jay Rich, RJ Harvey, 3 touchdowns. J.K. Dobbins, 100 yards. Troy Franklin, looking like the number 1 option in this offense. Troy Franklin coming on strong. What takeaways do you have? I have nothing. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in this Dallas offense. I'm not concerned they will play better moving forward. I'm not concerned. The defense, that's my good. God. I mean, I can go. They might call me. There are guys out there playing defensive back that I've never heard of, ever, for the Dallas Cowboys. They've got no linebackers. They can't get after the quarterback. Bo Nix, not sacked at all. Jay Rich, no sacks. None for old Bo Nix. Dallas was, they just got belt to ass in this matchup. Denver beat them down.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to say here. I think for a lot of people who watch this game, can RJ Harvey continue this pace going forward? I mean, 3 touchdowns, obviously not. But
I don't know about that.
But it's more so, is he startable going forward now? It was one of those kind of anomaly games.
He was on my bench, Jay Rich. He was on my bench. I benched him for Woody Marks, but I guess that was not bad either. That Woody was good too, so he was fine.
Yeah,
he wasn't RJ Harvey good. That's called copium right there. Like I started somebody else over him, but I'm not banking on 3 damn TDs. Look at this.
And what?
Look at all the defenders just behind RJ Harvey, watching them run 4 touchdowns. Just awful defense.
That was a great run, though. It was very well blocked, and it was a great run. Credit to Harvey on that one for his 40-yard touchdown run. But yeah, it's limited in volume. It's still the J.K. Dobbins show. But I think to your point about Franklin, like the Franklin emergence is definitely real. Like
you think
it's
so?
Definitely real. Yeah, I'm definitely buying into it a little bit. We'll see once the Trinity data comes out and kind of how it looks. But you don't really do this very often and not see it kind of progress and continue. Now, Peyton is a bit of a wild card. Week to week, the game plans change. Who he gets the ball to changes. Sutton is kind of the one consistent option on this team, regardless of kind of how it all plays out. But frankly, getting those 2 touchdowns was good to see. It's really just like, what do you do with this Cowboys team beyond start Pickens, start Lamb, start Javonte, start Dak? Like, that's what you're going to do every week. But I think for me, it's looking at maybe Franklin could be startable moving forward, and maybe even a bit of a buy, depending on where you're at with Bo Nix, because Bo Nix has been up and down all year long.
Bo Nix is an experience, man. He scores fantasy points. He scores fantasy points. The Broncos are what, 6-2?
Yeah, bro. The Broncos are good.
6-2.
Bo
Nix going to stink it up in the second year. He's been pretty good.
Bo don't lose at home
for fantasy, scoring fantasy points. He will do that. 4 touchdowns for Nix. I do want to take a look at the Trinity data. That'll be up a little later today to see where Franklin ranks versus Cortland Sutton. One thing is, Sutton should have had a touchdown too. Man, it clanked right off of the 1-4. Bo Nix should have 5 passing touchdowns because that one clanked right off the middle of, and it was a beautiful throw from Bo Nix right up the seam. It was like a 30-something yard dime. Hits him right in the chest, bounces up in the air. So Sutton should have had a bigger day in this matchup. And there are some rumors that the Broncos are looking for tight end help, Jay Rich.
Oh, really?
Little buyer's remorse on that joker, Evan Ingram. I've got no takeaways from the Dallas side. They got their asses beat.
Just not very good.
Not very good.
Team.
Not very good.
Especially on the road. Not very good.
Not very good. All right, Jay Rich. Next game that we're going to talk about, and we're going to stick with the theme of rookie running backs, man. Your boys, New England Patriots, had a bye week versus Dillon Gabriel in the Cleveland Browns. Now, I say that in jest because if I told you Drake May was going to get sacked 6 times and Myles Garrett was going to have 5 of those, you'd probably be like, hey, Cleveland probably had a good chance to win that game. But nope, they too struggled to complete forward passes past the line of scrimmage. Dillon Gabriel, 156 yards. Looked like it was going to be a decent day with that first drive. Hits Harold Fannin, touchdown. Yeah. You're like, oh boy. I think Gabriel was 4 for 5 in the first quarter, touchdown, 40-something yards, and it was downhill from there. And it wasn't even the interceptions from Dillon Gabriel that were awful. The worst play that I saw this weekend, bar none, was him standing in the end zone and throwing a safety. I'm just going to throw it to the sideline and get a damn safety. No one even, and then he puts his hands up like, what did I do?
He points to where he thought a receiver was.
Yeah, there's nobody there, bro.
Nobody within 20 yards.
Harold Fannon's way the hell down there. Safety, go punt the ball back to New England, okay? Dylan Gabriel was awful. He finally throws the ball further than 30 yards down the field. You know what happens? Picked off. Interception, Jay Rich. Throws it right to the linebacker, another play.
Yeah, that's fine.
And Kevin Stefanski said, hey, man, this is our quarterback coming out of the bye. He's our starting quarterback moving forward. Insane, Jay Rich. Other side of the ball, Drake Maye, under duress. Under
Was
duress.
he ever? Yeah.
Under
Myles
duress.
Garrett, very complimentary of Drake Maye and Will Campbell after the game, but holy shit, did he give them hell? Did he give them hell?
He was under duress. That Myles Garrett, my God, fastest play. Myles Garrett's still not even 30 years old, I believe. I think the fastest player to his career sack total of players under the age of 30. Myles Garrett.
He turns 30 this year.
He turns 30 this still. Gold jacket. Get him fitted right now.
Oh, yeah.
Maye had 3 touchdowns. He also had 50 yards on the ground, running around like he was back at North Carolina. But the big story from this, well, let me get the pass catchers. Mac Hollins.
What do I say every week, Ray? Who's catching the passes this week? Who knows, man? Because
7 for 89 for that Mac Hollins. Led the team in targets. Quinshon Booty, 3 for 75 and another long touchdown. That's all he does. The touchdown maker, Quinshon Booty. Stephon Diggs, not so much in this matchup. And Hunter Henry damn near gave you a goose egg as well. But the star of the show for a variety of reasons, in my opinion, Jay Rich, was your boy Travion Henderson. That jersey, it came in, right? You got that jersey in the room now? You ready to put it on? Big Hendo?
Nope. Well, I mean, he looked good.
You got this exact jersey. You should have wore it today.
I do. How am I going to wear this jersey, Ray, when he fumbled at the goal line?
Because he looked good. He
does look good.
The other 9 attempts were great. Explosive, fast, decisive,
dynamic. He is the Travion Henderson that we know. But you can't fumble because that was the only reason why we kept saying you got to get him on the field. You got to get him on the field. You got to get him on the field.
Hey, man, Mondre's fumbled 100 times. So I don't want to slam him for one, but it was not a good one. It was right at the goal line, too. Right at the goal line.
Which sucks, right? Because again, we don't want Vrabel to have reasons not to play Henderson. And fumbling at the goal line is a big one, right? But let's be real. Vrabel also is the same coach that continues to support Stevenson despite his fumbling issues. Just still gives him tons of carries despite the
Luke said
issues.
You dropped the package while bringing it inside. You fumbled the box from Fanatics while bringing it in, Jay.
No. I did not. But yeah, he looked good. But the problem is okay, great. He looks good, right? Next week they have Atlanta. You starting him?
Man.
Depends on who I got on bye.
Depends on who I've got on bye. Depends on who I'm probably starting him and RJ Harvey right back in the starting lineup next week. What's your answer? No?
The answer is no. You can't start him. You just can't. You can't start him. He hasn't shown enough to where you're confident. And honestly, for me, the main reason why, didn't catch a single pass once again.
I know. He's not involved in the receiving game
If he's
at
not
all.
catching passes, there's no way you start him. Next week, Cleveland, New York, Philly, Tampa on bye. So your Judkins
you
is
said
your
New
Breece
York,
Hall,
Philly.
the Jets, yeah.
The
Cleveland
Jets.
and Tampa.
And Tampa Bay. Okay.
So you don't have to really worry about Judkins. We'll see where his status is at after the bye. But yeah, bye next week. Cleveland, the Jets, Philly, Tampa Bay.
Let's talk about Atlanta. I saw the
What's there to say?
NFL, it was like an NFL postgame crew saying the 2 most embarrassing losses this season have been the Atlanta Falcons have been a part of that game. At home versus Miami, and then when they lost to Carolina and didn't score a single point.
Yep.
This was an opportunity that Kirk Cousins may have been able to show the rest of the NFL, like, hey, they don't want me here. You struggling NFL teams that need a quarterback, there's a veteran that's available, and my name is Kirk Cousins. I'm going to show you what I've got. He showed us absolutely nothing. He was awful. Kirk Cousins was bad in this matchup, 21 for 31, 5 yards, a completion, sacked one time, 35.5 QBR. Bijan Robinson. What a bust. What a bust in week 8, Jay Rich.
Best matchup in the NFL.
I went out there and put on Yahoo Fantasy that he's going to have 200 plus scrimmage yards. Monstrous day. This dude barely had 2 yards. Jay Rich, he didn't do a damn thing. And he fumbled the ball. 3 for 23 through the air. 9 for 25 on the ground. Falcons ran the ball against the worst rushing defense in the league 17 times for 45 yards.
Just embarrassing.
Embarrassing performance from the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, it made watching Miami fun. It made watching the Dolphins fun again. I mean, they're out there scissoring route concepts down there at the goal line. Ollie going one way, Achane going the other. Both of them wide asshole open. Both of them caught touchdowns. Jalen Waddle, him and Tua connected on the same play that connected in the national championship game when Tua was in college. 2 or 4 touchdowns, top 10 quarterback on the week without Tyreek Hill. What an embarrassing loss by Atlanta. What an embarrassing loss by the Atlanta Falcons, and what a bounce back on the road for Tua. This was an outstanding performance on the road after looking like shit pretty much all year for the Miami Dolphins and Tua.
Yeah. It was a good performance. I mean, it was a big bounce back for Tua, of course, probably on everyone's bench, right? Because who the hell was starting him in this game? This is still the number 1 pass defense in the NFL, I think even after this game, because Tua only threw for 200 yards. But everyone got involved. Waddle scored. Malik Washington
Everybody.
scored. Achane scored. Ollie Gordon scored. All through the air. They ran the ball very effectively, and what did Atlanta do? Rolled over and died, basically, at home, where they've actually been much better than they have been on the road. And it's crazy, Ray, because you think about how this all went down, and it's like, so maybe, just maybe, Mike McDaniel said, you know what? I'm going to make a call. I'm going to make a call to my old man, Kyle, and say, hey, Kyle, how'd it go against Atlanta last week? Can you give me any tips for this game plan of how to stop this team? How to stop Bijan Robinson? How to effectively pass against this Falcons defense? And what happens? They beat the brakes off the Falcons 34-10. Insane performance. To think that they couldn't run the football against a team that's allowing 160 rushing yards per game. And they only got 45. And they have arguably the best running back in the NFL. Absolutely insane performance. The Falcons are the most fraudulent team in the NFL. They can give you a Hall of Fame level performance, and they can give you something you've never seen before. And an absolute disaster. What is this team doing, and where the hell are they going?
Yeah, some people were saying, should this be the end of Raheem Morris in Atlanta? And I don't.
Ray, it's not. Here's my problem: is that the defense, to some extent, is still doing their job.
They didn't do their job on Sunday. They did not do their job on Sunday.
They did okay, but you have to think about from the standpoint of like, once again, Zach Robinson laid a complete egg. Like, offensively, you can't be this inconsistent. You just can't in the NFL. And I think that's the problem for me when I watch this team play, is that Zach Robinson either has a great game plan that works and they put up 30 points, or they absolutely suck, can't move the ball, and do nothing. And so it's like, when things are going wrong, how do you adjust? Where do you adjust? What improvements do you make? And it seems like that this is a team that offensively cannot adjust when things go wrong. When things are right, they're great. And they're flying high, and Bijan's going crazy.
Well, Kirk Cousins doesn't help. Having Kirk Cousins doesn't help. Kirk Cousins was awful.
I agree.
Kirk Cousins was awful.
But if it was Michael Penix, do you think the result is drastically different? Because Michael Penix isn't that good either.
If they had Penix and Drake London, it's probably a different.
If they had Drake London, it helps for sure. But again, there's teams that have a worse supporting cast than this, especially when you consider they have Bijan Robinson healthy, and look a lot better than this.
They look bad.
You could argue that the Miami Dolphins supporting cast is actually worse than the Falcons. And I don't think that's crazy. It's close, but I don't think it's crazy. Especially when you consider they have a much better offensive line.
Again, and I haven't seen one comment. Were there rumors about London missing this game? It seems like that just wrecked.
He popped up on the injury report Saturday.
And what was it?
His hip.
Man, I hope he's good, because none of the pass catchers outside of Kyle Pitts, who I brought him up last week, is quietly having a really solid Kyle Pitts season. It's not tight end one. But he's been good. The issue with Pitts, the touchdown's still plaguing him. Can't get in the end zone. But he's had a good season for Kyle Pitts standards. He's had a good season so far. It's unfortunate that this team is so inconsistent as you've talked about. There are a couple of games we didn't hit, but we'll talk through some of that stuff on Wednesday when we're in the show. We definitely need to touch on Tampa Bay, talk a little more about Philadelphia. Jay, let's touch on the Monday Night Football game tonight. No Jaden Daniels, but the Washington Commanders will have back Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin for Marcus Mariota versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think they win this game. I'll just say that. I don't even want to say they don't stand a chance anymore, because every time we say that, the team that we say doesn't stand a chance, they win. But in Arrowhead Stadium, Chiefs 4-3, looking to be 5-3. I don't think Washington's going to get it done tonight.
Here's what I'll say about this game. I think this game could be sneaky great for fantasy. And not in the way that like Marcus Mariota keeps them close. Like, I just think Marcus Mariota could put up, let's say 24 points. He could throw a touchdown to Deebo. He could throw a touchdown to Terry McLaurin. And the Chiefs could still win like 40-24 in this game. Because I think the Chiefs are going to put up a ton of points. Like, this Commanders defense sucks. Like, they've been so bad this season.
Yeah, Ridley, recover Ridley. Big Vegas point totals for tonight. Over under 48.5. In this one.
And that means the Chiefs are probably I think the Chiefs total is probably like 27, if that's the total.
More Rashee Rice. I think Brashard Smith gets it going tonight. I think they utilize their rookie running back a little bit more.
Yeah.
You got Worthy. You've got the full allotment of receivers at Mahomes' disposal. At his disposal. So we'll see how it plays out. I do think the Kansas City Chiefs ultimately do get it done tonight in this matchup. All right, Jay Rich. That's the show, man. Hit the music. Appreciate y'all pulling up. Wake up with Ray and Jay every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday. Week 8 recap in the books. Over and done with. If you're a member of the DDFFB, Scott Connor and I will be going through the Trinity Report later today, talking all things usage, all things wide receivers. Jay Rich, anything you want to say to people before we get out of here today?
No, hope everyone enjoys Monday Night Football. And don't forget, Ray, we got Game 3 tonight in L.A., and I am fired up for it. Because it's even now. Tied series going back to LA.
Yes,
so we'll see. We'll see. World Series tonight. Excited for that. But yeah, let's go Jays. Come on, chat. Let's go Jays.
Dodgers, baby. Let's go. We appreciate y'all being in the building. Every year. Hit the thumbs up button on the way out. Subscribe to the channel for all the content. And we will see y'all bright and early on Wednesday. Have a great Monday. Make it great. We'll see y'all soon. We out. Peace.